Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute delight to have you with us. I am now going to be over the next 25 minutes in conversation with Sheena Mori, Vice President Dell Digital, in a business dialogue of sorts that's aptly titled At the Brink, a dialogue on business continuity amidst the chaos. To set the context, really, Sheena, as corporate India buckles up to weather the storm unleashed by, well, a global pandemic, organizations are realizing increasingly that traditional business recovery mechanisms and models are not equipped to deal with the levels of disruptions that are being imagined and experienced. It is, however, equally true that globalization, technological progress, and demographic changes are trends that are shaping the future of work. In that sense, really, the current disruption, and I'd like your views on this, the current disruption really does it not serve as a natural impetus or a catalyst for adopting newer practices and mindsets? We started off the year with passion, hope in our hearts, and so on and so forth. But it's barely been about a quarter, and we are already find ourselves working from home. And large swaths of the working population across the globe are today working from home. So by that measure, really, it's been, well, quite the unusual year. Now, at the helm of all that is technology at Dell across the world, we've heard, Shinam, that once the lockdown was announced globally, you had your employees across the world, 150,000 odd employees, up and running within 48 hours. Is that true?
That's actually not very true, Arjun. Um, we actually took about a week end to end to get to, ensuring our 150,000 people across the globe are enabled to work from home.
Okay.
What's also not very true is the fact that we didn't wait for the lockdown to start working from home. Baltel Technologies across the globe announced that the entire workforce will work from home um, about a week or 10 days before the India lockdown. So there was a communication pan Dell Technologies that everybody who can should work from home and should not find a reason to come to office.
Mm.
It's also important at this juncture for me to talk about, our employee resource group with the ERG that we call Connexus, which also enables employees who are remote to be connected to our workplace. So from our organization perspective, we were really already enabled with, the guidelines, the policies, the infrastructure needs of employees that needed to be connected globally, remotely, right? About 45% of our workforce, even prior to this pandemic and the lockdown and working from home, is remote, right? And that's something that Michael enables
Okay.
and wants to do as a policy, that people should be allowed to work from wherever they are. So we already had those processes in place. What we did in those 48 hours was really people who needed to be in office, right? Like all the people who are call center people, the people who are really enabling implementations globally sitting in India, all our service organization people, how can they have the necessary infrastructure to work from home? Most of these people used desktops and
Mm.
Avaya phones on their desks, right? So if you have to transfer that person to working from home, you have to enable her with a laptop. You have
Mm.
to enable her with a soft Avaya phone connection on the laptop and ensure that there is no connectivity issue. So we immediately took a decision as to how we can, financially help our people to connect from home. So, if they wanted to buy more data cards, if they wanted to, increase their bandwidth at home, because, suddenly you have the entire family at home and you are sharing bandwidth.
Yes.
How does that help in connectivity and stuff like that? So very quickly we turned around the infrastructure. We provided the laptops for the people with all the right security accesses. We ensured, we had the software via phones on them, and all of that actually was done in 48 hours. So you were not
Wow.
very far from truth, but that was really done in 48 hours. The What we took a week to do was really ensure we had a global rollout of Global Protect, right? We were
Mhm.
on VPN, but really upgrading everybody to Global Protect, upgrading our VPN bandwidth, really, so that suddenly when you have a VPN usage that needs to triple, right?
Mhm.
You had
Mhm.
45%, 45% of the people already working remote. Now, if 95% be working remote, our usage of VPN was going to go up. So how do you increase your bandwidth? And that getting that done was very, very critical for us. So that is what took us about a week. Then there were laws that came in, right? In India,
Mhm.
you're aware of the fact that you needed to be on a constant IP when
Mhm.
you're connecting from
Yep.
home, so
Yeah.
that the government can track who's working, what they're doing, and
Yeah. You
stuff like
can't
that.
bounce it across the globe. Yeah.
Yes. So ensuring that that happens, ensuring that you're compliant with local laws, that also took, so that's where we took that period of the 1 week to kind of stabilize everybody. Now I want to take a step back to say, how were we prepared for this, and
Exactly.
why
That was going
just
to be my next
yeah.
question.
Yeah. So, how did we get to this stage? So we had already started the process of, unifying our technology and enabling people to work from home. One of the things that we started about 2 years back was defining personas. So
Mm.
different kind of users have different personas, and what we have done is that a persona of this nature needs this kind of a machine with these kind of apps. So that kind of setup is already ready. So when we had delivered laptops to 5,000 people in 48 hours, literally over a weekend, we knew who was coming in, what persona that person was, and therefore what kind of laptop. Should it be an engineering laptop? Can it be a plain simple Inspiron? What is it that you're talking about for this persona? What apps should be loaded? Everything is
But the entire
pre-decided.
preparation stage, really, how many months
Yeah.
or weeks was that in the making? But the
So
reason I'm
this
asking
was,
you this is
yeah,
also because the kind of audience that we have with us today is a very, very interesting and diverse mix of people from the IT profession, people from finance, very senior leaders, and people from HR. Now, clearly, three people who represent, or three personas really, who represent technology, the money, and the people. Pretty much the
yes,
entire triad
yeah,
of what an
yeah.
organization is. So, how long, what went into the making of the preparation, really?
So Arjun, it has been a cycle and a journey, right? And it started off in 2018, right? So it's not something that we did just prior to the lockdown, or we realized that this was something that we needed to do immediately. The fact that we build the personas, this persona journey has been since 2018. And why did we do that? We wanted to simplify onboarding. On day one, as you walk in, you have, we hand over your laptop to you as you get into the organization. So that's something that we did. Uh, we had moved from WebEx to Skype. We had already added Zoom into our conferencing tool kit. After all that has happened right now, in the last 1 month, we've added Teams. We
Okay.
have again got back WebEx, okay, as conferencing tools. So we've got Skype, we've got Teams, we've got Zoom for internal meetings. We've got WebEx when we want to do customer meetings. So we've got now a whole plethora of conferencing tools
Mhm.
available. We have been modernizing our infrastructure, and one of the things that we have been doing there is really moving into a workspace one kind of an environment, where you can have the same environment if you're on your mobile or if you're on a desktop. Okay, and that also then allows you to do Outlook anywhere. It allows you to access intranet without really getting into VPN, right? So that journey was already there. It was already being enabled. So a lot of it was really things that we could pick up and quickly push out as guidelines to everybody. One of the things that we did from a communication perspective was that when you log in every day, even today, I get I get a cheat sheet. Okay, if
Oh,
you have a problem with IT, what happens? What are the conferencing tools available with links to them? Cheat sheets to which are the best tools for what? How do you use Teams? Because Teams is a relatively new tool for us. It's in the last 1 month that we've rolled it out. So everybody gets that kind of a pop-up telling them, these are the new things that are happening. So really from a technology journey perspective, we were much in the curve already, right? So that really enabled us quite a bit. That allowed us that turnaround of enabling 75, 80,000 people quickly in 48 hours into, their work not stopping.
very, very interesting. I must ask you this. So the technology bit is something you held forth on in a very, very experienced manner. But there's folks in the audience also, Shinam, and I'm presuming you must have done that too, which is really try to identify. So the one way of looking at it is right now we are mandated to work from home because there's no other way
Yeah,
possible.
yeah.
But if this were to become perhaps the norm over a period of time, how did you at Dell Digital evaluate, identify, and quantify the real productivity gains, perhaps, in this whole mechanism and this strategy? I mean, are there productivity gains at all?
Actually, there are.
Oh, wow.
It's actually very surprising because we actually thought that when people would get into connectivity issues, working from home, the entire rigmarole of having the entire family together, um, there would be productivity losses. But what has been very surprising the last 2 weeks when we've started measuring velocity, especially from an engineering perspective, we've actually seen, velocity has gone up. People have been able to give out far more outputs and outcomes than we possibly got from an office environment. Now, I think there are two aspects to this, right? One is a cultural aspect, and the other is the technology aspect. Maybe a third aspect, which is the process aspect. Now, when you talk about culture, I think the culture starts from top. So one of the things that has been happening is that we are over communicating, right? um, we do we have all hands at all levels, starting from Michael and the ELT. We have manager check-ins, we have team check-ins, we have ask me anythings. So we are ensuring that our people are connected to us, we are connected to them. We use video a lot now. Okay, we try and make yourself available on video so people can see you, so they can
True, true.
experience you, right? Because when you're in office, you're seeing each other. Even if it's at a distance, you're available, right? How do you make yourself available at at this point of time? I think that's something that we're doing. The other thing that we have started doing from a culture perspective is have more fun. So what I have, for example, personally started doing is, my staff, which happens on a Tuesday, every staff starts with a fun game. So I have two people who pair up across the globe. So I ensure they're not in the same country. I pair them up and they come up with a one game.
Oh,
We have fun. We laugh for first 10 minutes of the staff. So that's something that we've done, and it's something that people are doing across, right? The other thing that we have institutionalized as a culture is we don't start the meeting at the hour. So if it's
oh,
an hour-long meeting, we've reduced the meeting to 50 minutes, and we start 10 minutes later. So what happens is you get those 10 minutes space to kind of stretch yourself, go say a hello to your child. Some things, take a bio break,
yeah, yeah.
just get out of the chair, literally.
Correct.
So those are the kind of things that we're doing on a culture perspective. On a technology perspective, I've already talked about the kind of things that we have enabled our people. One of the things that we have also done is some of our people actually went to their hometowns, which was away from a hub and stuff like that, and they were not prepared. They were on a vacation, they couldn't get back, or when they realized that there was going to be a lockdown, they went home because they were staying in a PG here. PGs were going to close, they didn't know what was the future. Now all these people sometimes some of them have connectivity problems, some don't. The people who have connectivity problems, okay, we have tried to ensure that they get the data cards. Now,
Hmm.
if you have a connectivity problem and you are not allowed, you are not able to connect, we've granted them leave, right? So it's a paid leave if you cannot work. But those are really handful of the cases. For the
Yeah,
cases,
sure that.
some people who were on a holiday didn't carry their laptop. We have given them provisions. If you have your own personal laptop, okay, you can connect into your desktop in the
Ah,
office, because most of us were in the pivotal way of working. We had one desktop, two monitors, two people working. You can connect through VDI. So we have enabled that. We have used leverage technology, we have leveraged our facilities teams to actually ensure that if there is an onboarding happening, okay, the same laptop experience is provided to people who are joining us, right? Offers have already been made. People are joining on day one. Once they've completed the virtual onboarding process, a laptop reaches them in the evening. For people who are joining in from non-urban locations, like where we don't have offices, we have enabled VDI for them. So
okay.
if they have a personal equipment, we've enabled VDI for them. From a process perspective, we were very engaged in the XP way of working, which was the pair programming and stuff like that. We've actually created guidelines on how you could pair together,
Mhm.
okay, how you could leverage conferencing technologies to pair together, what should be the guidelines, how long should you pair, and at what stage should you take a break and stuff like that. So there is a framework which we have kind of built in the next 1 month or so, which I believe positions us to be ready if this continues for more time in the near future.
God forbid. Uh, I quite liked how you articulated that, Sheenam. Uh, but I'm now going to ask you in perhaps a question in the form of a leader who's also coming across as a visionary. Is there are lots of folks here who, post the lifting of the lockdown, post hypothetically things coming back to a sense of normalcy, uh, will also want to use this experience to perhaps craft newer concepts of work spaces, workplaces. The workforce or a gig economy of sorts is already clear and present. But perhaps also reimagine the concept of work by itself. Now, what in your estimate is the real guidance that you would like to impart for organizations that want to and therefore should reimagine the concept of workspaces?
Good question. And I have been actually thinking about this because it's been a month since we've been
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
Yeah. And India's just like announced a lockdown for another 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Um, if this becomes a norm, let's say for a little bit more extended period of time, and maybe if you have to do this for a quarter together, I think um, business has to continue. Okay. And and the way we are working leads us to reimagine what the future could look like,
Mm,
right? Um, so if I start from pure in something that I'm passionate about, um, is the talent pool available, right? I just see immense amount of opportunity for us to get diverse talent into our workforce, okay, and really enable better business outcomes therefore, because suddenly you have people who possibly cannot come to office,
mm,
have a special ability. Suddenly you have all of those women who took a break for whatever reason,
mm,
okay, who can be treated as restarters, and who can be who can be made, who can be inducted into your included into your organization even on a part-time basis.
yeah,
So
yeah,
really the diversity aspect of a workforce can change tremendously because the
that.
potential to hire is so high. If I have to look at how they work, the people at work will have to communicate with each other. I think there will have to be a greater emphasis on building relationships.
Mm,
We've all grown up saying face to face is important, meeting together is important. That's why you need to travel out and stuff like that, right? When you meet each other face to face, you build a bond that you can then take over on a telephone conversation later. But if you're not able to meet, okay, what is it and how do you really forge and cement new relationships going
Relationships.
forward? Yeah. So I think that's going to be also a new norm. From a sheer technology perspective, I think there will be a very enhanced perspective of and focus on security
True
and
that.
privacy. Yeah, governance. I think these three will become very, very important because you will suddenly have your workforce connected from different places across the globe. You will have your workforce, sitting and working from different kinds of equipment. If you can't, if they have their own equipment and they're on VDI, how do you enable endpoint security and
Yeah.
how do you enable edge security, right? And really, the technology solutions in those two have to become far more robust, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. From really a work perspective, I think there will be a huge focus, in my opinion, on open source, on crowdsourcing, your solutions. We've already started seeing a lot of crowdsourcing. We've already seen developers today, the millennials and the Gen Zs of today, wanting to, focus out on open source technology. I do believe that will become far more relevant in the future, in terms of picking up solutions that can match with each other and us really opening up our doors to development that's happening outside of the office. And how do you kind of in-source it and still leverage the open source environment? So to my extent, I think those are really the key things. We have already seen a high usage of RPA. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we already
Yes.
see humans working with bots. I think that will increase. The entire concept of 3D printing, in my
Mm.
opinion, will be very high. So I see in the next 10, 12 years, focus would be higher on automation, on RPA. AI will continue, AML will continue. But I do also see from a technology perspective, 3D printing becoming far more relevant to all of us.
Well, that makes absolute sense. But I also have a view on the clock, and we've got about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
I am going to come to you, Sheenam, with a question that I think is on everybody's mind today. Sheena Mori, what is your view on how the workspace in 2030 is going to look like? In fact, are we even going to have a workspace? Are organizations going to figure whether workspaces are required at all, given the power that technology enables us to achieve? Uh, are physical spaces going to become redundant? Uh, Shinamori, what's your take on that?
I think it would be a combination of both, right? Because um, meeting face to face, the benefits of that, I don't believe you can get by doing a call like this, right?
To that?
This is really a situation which is exceptional. But technology will enable you to do a lot of things anytime, anywhere, any place, on any device. And maybe it will also be deviceless. All right. You could possibly have a 5G connection that can leverage you to do something on your wall itself, right? Now, all of your science fiction movies can come true. But I think the way I see it, it would be a balance, okay? And the balance will really tilt towards working anywhere, any place, and
Agnostic of
really,
time and space.
yes, yes. So I think that balance will tilt there. But can we do away with the workplace, a physical workplace? I don't think so. At least I don't believe that you should do away with it totally. But it will
Ah,
possibly be, it will be on a need to come basis and stuff like that.
Shinam, I'm just going to ask you also in the same breath. We are in the 32nd day. Uh, or the 23rd day, sorry.
23rd.
How's it been for you individually, personally? How have you managed to enjoy your moments despite evidently the expanse and the spread of the work that you have, the responsibilities, your accountability at a global level? How have you managed to retain sanity and continue to have fun?
So it's not been an easy journey. The first 3 days, right? W- work, 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 right?
So that.
It just the day started at 7 a.m., ended at 10:30. And Wednesday evening, I was like, what the hell, man? I just want the week to end. I just want my weekend to come. So what I did was I actually prioritized certain things. So I have calendarized breaks.
Oh,
So
lovely.
every 2.5 hours, I take a half an hour break. Um, One of the things that is a privilege because of this is that at least twice or thrice in a week, my spouse and I can have lunch together.
Uh,
Okay, we hardly used to have a meal together when we were kind of going to the physical offices, but we're trying to do lunches together, and we try and see if we can sync up our calendars for that. Um, I find gardening very calming, so I try and spend half an hour doing something in my little terrace garden um, to kind of unwind myself. I've read a couple of books in the last 1 month.
Lovely.
Fiction, pure fiction, nothing to do with work, nothing to do with leadership. I've enjoyed doing that. I think I'm over a stage where the Netflix, Amazon Prime stage has gone away.
Sure.
So I'm no longer hooked to a device for entertainment, but yes, trying to do some reading, trying to do some gardening, trying to catch up with friends that I have never caught up with. So one of the things that I do every day is I call one friend on video,
Oh,
uh, and and try and reestablish connection. So those are the kind of things that I'm trying to do.
brilliant. Sheena Mori, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sheena Mori, the lady herself at the center of all that is innovation and technology-led at Dell Digital. Sheenam, it has been nothing short of a privilege to have spoken with you and hearing your views and experience. We wish you all the best and very, very grateful that you could make it to join us today. Thank you so very much, Sheena.
Thank you, Arjun. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor to be here. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.